tutorial starts with a song, but it's only a few seconds long.
Computer animation. Computer animation. Computer animation.
Let's get started with animation. Hello, this tutorial is about a compound. What is a compound? Well, it's a togetherness of several other things, like a group maybe. You could call it a group. We're in the Windows Bifröst graph editor world. I docked it right here. You can have a floating window as well, whatever. And when you click here, create a new graph, you have the input and output nodes. That's how the Bifröst graph always starts. These are not compounds, they're just simple nodes. When you double click, you don't see anything inside. But every node which you can create here, where you double click this part here and it opens another section, nodes within nodes, is a compound. And for example, this one is one. It's called Object to Points compound, and it's free to download. It's in the Maya, Autodesk Maya area, where you can get all kinds of support, by the way, for free and from very competent and very gentle people. And I think this was programmed by T. Chen Ma, and we're in the end of the year 2019, and probably this is totally different in the future, but we currently can download Generate Points on Object version 2 as a zip file and install it in our Maya directory. How to install it, you find it here, and I give you the link in the description anyway. Once you've installed it, you find that Autodesk area Objects to Points, and you also find them under User Compounds Object to Points. It's basically the same. The defaults are these here, from core to simulation, and the user compounds section is usually empty. So we go to this one, and this is a compound. So we double click here in order to see the inside. We don't want to see this because this is the work our friend has done already. It's not editable. It's the inside of this box here. And we'll delete the input because we want to create, a cylinder. And we middle mouse drag the cylinder into this graph editor here. Now, let us briefly meditate on what we have here. We have a geometry. That's this object here. We have something which does complex things, these things here, with objects. This is an object, so we can connect the mesh object to the input of the Object to Points node. It creates points from the object. What kinds of points we see when we connect the out points to the output? These points. On the right-hand side of the graph editor, under parameters, you see what you can change about these things, and you have the info, which is empty because our programmer did not have the time or pleasure to actually document this. But we can see for ourselves, and for example, point size, we can reduce this from 0.1 to 0.02. Press enter, and we have little dots here. If we get closer to the dots, what do they look like? They're disks, and we can change them to points, which we don't see here, but when we hide the cylinder, I think we better go to a circle, for example, so we have lots of circles here. And if you don't want to distribute them on the surface, but rather on the description of that surface, on the outside of the cylinder, the basic structure of the cylinder, you choose this method here, and instead of points, up here, instead of circles, we can select spheres. So we have little spheres here. If we want to shade them red, for example, we can do this either here, and I did a tutorial, and there's several tutorials out there anyway, of how to shade things in the Bifröst graph editor. But I can do it in the classic way as well. So I show you how to do this. You go to this icon here. This opens the hypershader. You tab here and type in surface because you want to shade a surface. And here you have the AI standard surface. This is important. Don't select the surface shader, just use the AI standard surface because that's the Arnold version here. Now you select the BIF node, which is basically these dots here. And with this selected in the viewport, you right mouse click here and assign material to the viewport selection. So you selected the BIF node in the outliner or in the scene, and now you assign the material to that selection, which is just fine, and we change the color to some kind of red or pink. Now there are not many things to do here. There's no gravity, there's no simulation in here, it's just a display thing. But if you want to introduce a simulation here, you can, of course. And for that purpose, let's disconnect these two nodes here. And Maya will be a little bit faster than anyway, so let's unhide the cylinder, so it's back here. And well, we simulate particles. Tab key. And here you have simulate particles. The simulate particle node wants us to input sources, and the outpoints are excellent sources here. And the simulate particles node changes several things with what it gets here, but the basic layout stays the same, but it ignores the size, the point size, for example. So we reconnect this, and now we don't need this. We cannot do this actually. Out points, we need the plus sign here again, and it creates a new entry here, which is a particle entry. And Maya thinks about it, and now we have the particles here. And it's a particle simulation because they have gravity and they fall down. Now they lost their shader. Why is that? Because it's a BIF2 node now. We can select it, go back here, and right mouse click. Have this pink structure here. But here you don't have anything to change. That's why you need particle settings. And this is the last thing I'm going to show you today. We want to feed something into this settings channel here. So we type in settings. And all the way down we have, or more or less all the way down, we have particle solver settings. And we can connect the settings to these settings here. Doesn't change much, changes a little bit though. And here we have the gravity, for example. Currently the particles fall down, but if we change this to 1, Maya needs to think about recalculate the whole graph because of this connection really. And now they spread in other directions because they have just a little bit of gravity going up. Here you have colliders, so you can make this object collide with another object, and I'll show you one of the results in the next minute. And with this, I leave you alone. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. Bye.